name is Dan, and my presentation is called Intro to CrossFit, but really it's just a talk about health and fitness. So here's a picture of me probably 5 years back completing a Spartan race with my girlfriend. Growing up, I've always been into sports. I've never really been into weight training. I played soccer, all team sports, soccer, snowboarding as well, rock climbing, things like that. I never really got a lot of enjoyment out of going to the gym and just picking up weights for the purpose of looking aesthetic. Sorry, man. Okay. And I found that CrossFit was the good middle ground between weightlifting and sports. So it kind of combines aspects of team sports and competitive sports and with the strength training and everything else. So what I'm trying to get out of this talk is just to try and give everyone a little bit of information about what CrossFit is and what the kind of methodology is behind it, how the training regimen works. And also to just motivate you all to start thinking about your health, thinking about how often is it that you're exercising and getting your heart rate up, activating your metabolic system, are you increasing your strength, are you thinking about your diet, things like that are really important. So that's who I am and that's the motivation of this talk. Okay, so here's the outline for today's presentation. First, I'll be talking about the health benefits of regular exercise. I think that's obvious. Different measures of fitness or characteristics that we can associate with being fit. I'll talk about the CrossFit methodology, what CrossFit is, what differentiates it from other sports and other exercises. And then I'll talk about CrossFit as a competitive sport in the CrossFit Games. Okay, so the benefits of exercise. So America's life expectancy is low comparatively to other developed nations. We're about 5 years behind Japan. And one of the primary causes of this is chronic diseases, cancer, coronary diseases, diabetes, obesity. They're all problems in America. And it's well-established science that exercise really greatly reduces your chance of all these ailments. So it's important that you do a little bit of investment in your body and your health. A lot of the time we just focus on material things and earning more money and putting more into your bank account. But there's also this other valuable thing like your health account basically. And in terms of your health, you can only take out what you put in. So it's really an important investment in yourself and your own happiness. And then, I mean, if you guys are anything like me, I spend 8 days hunched over at a desk. And then I will go home and play 3-4 hours of video games some nights or watch Netflix. So I'm constantly slouched over. It leads to bad posture, it leads to shoulder issues, and later on in life it's going to lead to strength issues when you're a senior or elderly. Can anybody tell me what a measurable characteristic of fitness would be? Can you think of any? How can you measure someone's fitness? Any ideas?
Not tired after a busy day.
What's that?
Not tired after a busy day.
So fatigue, how well you handle exercise. Like if you exercise, how dead are you after? How quick is your recovery? Yeah, those are measurable things. Anything else?
Body fat.
Yeah. Body fat percentage. Yeah. So your body type and how much muscle you have. Yeah.
Like endurance.
Endurance. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Metabolism. Yeah, definitely. And the two probably the biggest ones that people associate with fitness are cardiovascular, cardiorespiratory endurance, and strength, how much force you can apply in a given direction or anything like that. But it's kind of, there's a bigger picture to things. There's more that you don't necessarily associate with fitness. And this is actually one of the limitations of a lot of our other training programs is that they emphasize some of these characteristics of fitness, but then they end up detracting from the others. So here's kind of a list of 10 characteristics that are measurable, observable things that we would associate with your level of fitness. So things like strength, power, speed, and then also neurological functions like coordination, accuracy, agility, and balance, which can be improved through practice. So there really is a lot more that goes into the equation. You might think that somebody who does a lot of bodybuilding, the guys who do the physique competitions, they may not be able to throw a ball as well as a track and field athlete, or they may not have the flexibility that a gymnast or a yoga athlete may have. So what CrossFit is it's kind of like a holistic approach to fitness that tries to hit each of these areas. It's a training regimen that simultaneously will push you further in all of these aspects of fitness. So the definition is a strength and conditioning program built upon constantly varied functional movements executed at high intensity. And it's really no secret formula. CrossFit actually just kind of takes the best movements from other sports and tries to incorporate them all. So it draws heavily on weightlifting, powerlifting, and gymnastics and calisthenics. And then to break apart the first sentence, so constantly varied, there what they mean is that in CrossFit you try to constantly mix up the workouts that you're doing. You try to avoid routine. Routine is the enemy essentially, because your body will adapt if you keep doing the same workout over and over again. So instead they mix things together. You're kind of never really doing the same workout, and that your body can't adapt, and that you always need to be fit for any given task. And then functional movements, they're referring to these big lifts that they inherit from the other sports, things like squats, things like muscle-ups. They're compound movements that involve multiple joints and limbs, and you can move a large amount of weight in a short period of time. So it's very efficient in terms of the time that you invest into the training. And then lastly, executed at high intensity. So that's kind of why I think that CrossFit is a good fitness regimen for people who are on very busy schedules. You know, a lot of the elite athletes, they'll go and spend 2.5, 3 hours in the gym. For us, you know, you have a very short window between dinner and when you leave work that you could maybe do something to get your heart rate up. So CrossFit is typically always within an hour, and obviously the elite athletes will be training much more. But for the average Joe like you and I, it doesn't take much longer than just an hour at the gym. Okay, so here I'll talk a little bit about the common movements or the movement pool in CrossFit. So here are the sports and then the main movements that CrossFit takes from these sports. So things like deadlifts, squats, and presses. These are targeting your big muscle groups. And then from Olympic weightlifting, the clean and jerk and the snatch. You'll see those in the Olympics. And then gymnastics, a lot of things. On the easier side, you have pull-ups, dips, rope climbs, things like that, handstands. And then on the more difficult and complicated side, you have muscle-ups and handstand push-ups. And then lastly, they do a lot of cardio for metabolic conditioning. So things like running, biking, rowing, skiing, swimming, burpees. That's a lot of information, and it's hard to visualize if you've never heard of these terms, so I'm going to demonstrate probably a couple of the movements. So two of my favorites are the weightlifting movements, the clean and the jerk and the snatch. So they're probably the least commonly known. So I wasn't planning on doing this originally, but Paul said it would be a good idea for just to give you guys a visualization of what it's going to look like. So both the clean and jerk and the snatch are a movement involving a barbell. So there's a 45-pound barbell with weights on either side. And the barbell starts on the ground, and the objective is to get it overhead and to demonstrate control overhead. The difference is in that the clean and jerk is kind of like a two-part movement, where you start by bringing the barbell to front rack position, and then from the front rack you dip and drive it overhead. Whereas the snatch, you have a wider grip, and you start from the ground, and in one swift motion you explode and get under it and then stand it up. So to demonstrate the movements, the clean and jerk, you have a closer grip. You want to be bent over with a neutral spine and your chest over the bar, and then basically you pull and do what's called, or do a sequence of motions to bring the bar over your knees, and then you'd accelerate upwards while opening your hips, and then the bar is going to naturally accelerate upwards, and you're supposed to kind of track it up, and then it'll go up to a certain height, and you need to basically dip down as quick as possible and get pressed overhead, so the bar is over top of you, and then you need to stand it up with an overhead squat. Okay, so actually I completely messed up. I was doing a clean and jerk and I finished with a snatch. So actually you end up catching it in a front rack position, which is a very hard position to hold because your whole core has to be engaged here. And then you stand that up, and then you take a deep breath, maybe drop your elbows a little bit, and you do one quick dip to accelerate the bar again, and then you kind of jump underneath. You try to really get low and press out so you can get the bar overhead and stand up. So typically with the clean and jerk, the limiting factor is how much weight you can get up into your clean, and then from that point on, it's just about gathering yourself and executing the jerk. And then lastly, the snatch is a wider arm position, and one thing, you bring it past your knees, accelerate upwards, and then catch it overhead like this. So that's the clean and the jerk and the snatch. I'm sweating just doing them with no weight. So you probably get the idea that they're very functional movements. They engage kind of your entire body. And the clean and jerk is like when you're picking up the bag of dog food and you have to put it up on the cabinet. Or the deadlift from powerlifting is like when you need to move something heavy. So these skills are things that transfer to your real life and give you the ability to do your everyday tasks. Whereas some might say that doing a lot of dumbbell curls in the gym or something doesn't really give you something that's going to be functional in your life. So the idea behind CrossFit is that training in a segmented fashion will develop a segmented capacity. So CrossFit avoids routine, incorporates a wide array of movements. And I can barely talk now. I haven't done CrossFit in a while, clearly.
The demo of burpee?
Oh, burpee. Oh. Okay, so burpee is actually a really good functional movement, especially for people that are getting older in age. So a lot of concern with seniors is that they may fall down and not be able to bring themselves up to a standing position again. So burpee is a much easier one than a clean and snatch and the jerk. It's just body weight calisthenics. But the idea is you start from standing up, you jump down to the ground, press your chest against the ground, and then you have to stand up again. Okay, so a burpee would look something like this.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you gotta jump. She's counting reps here.
Do it again. There we go.
So that's a burpee. That's what they would look like at the start of the workout, and by the end of the workout, they'd probably look something more like this. Okay, so that's a burpee. Oh, oops. Okay, so what to expect at CrossFit. So a CrossFit gym is called the box because it's really just that. It's simply a warehouse with a bunch of weights and barbells and then a bunch of rigs for doing gymnastics. And it's not much else, a few cardio machines, rowers. It's not like your fancy gyms where you go and you see all these weird technologies. It's just basic. It's what you would see in an Olympic weightlifting gym or a powerlifting gym, really. So that's the box, and one of the biggest things about the box is the community within it. I found the CrossFit community to be a lot similar to the rock climbing community. When you go into a rock climbing gym or you go into a CrossFit gym, it's not you competing against others, it's really you competing against yourself. You're always pushing yourself to be the better version of yourself. So people are eager to see you progress. It's really nice to see someone beside you hit a personal record. And if you see someone who's slightly below your skill level, who's struggling with a certain lift that you are competent in, typically those people will just come in and help you. They want to see you progress as you want to see them progress. So it's a really good community. And then here's what you see in a typical class. So again, this is why I said it would be suitable for people on a tight schedule, because it's a 1 hour class, so 5 to 6, 6 to 7. When you go in, the first thing is a warm up and stretch. So you hop on the rower for 3-4 minutes. You get off, you stretch out, you do some good mornings, you do all these different exercises just to kind of wake up your joints, work out any kinks that you've developed throughout the day sitting over. And then you'll do about 15 to 20 minutes of skill work. So this is where we work on kind of the more complicated compound movements that are involved in CrossFit. Things like the muscle up, where you're hanging from the rings. You need to do a pull up and get yourself over top of the rings, and then you need to do a dip to extend. They're really, really difficult movements. I think I did rock climbing for 2 to 3 years, so my upper body strength was really, really good already. And when I started CrossFit, it maybe took me another 5-6 months to get my first muscle up. And then once I got it, I was so happy anytime I saw them programmed in the workout. So it's really something about you overcoming what you think are your limitations. And so yeah, they'll do a little bit of skill work, which will help you just naturally advance and do movements that you couldn't do originally. And then they'll do 15 to 20 minutes of strength work. So that's kind of more like the powerlifting and weightlifting training, where you take a decent sized rest so you can recuperate all your energy, and you do heavy lifts so that you're promoting a lot of muscle growth and increased strength potential. And then the last thing is kind of what we associate with CrossFit, the workout of the day. So that's that high intensity metabolic conditioning, typically between 5 and 20 minutes. But the idea is go. You're going the whole time. You can stop and you can take a rest if you need. But then at the end of the workout, you're going to think, I could have done a little better, you know? Whereas if you just push through it and you look around and you're in a room full of other people who are doing the exact same thing, people of different abilities, seniors, people that are overweight, people with different conditions, they're all there just to better themselves. And you look around, you see, okay, everyone else is pushing themselves. Maybe I should take a shorter break or something, you know? And it doesn't happen the first workout you go in. You don't just go in and all of a sudden you've got this amazing capacity for work. But over time, you realize that you can push yourself as hard as you want during that short period, and you won't die. You know, you might think you're going to die, but you're not going to die. And then at the end, you'll spend the rest of your day feeling fulfilled and like you've actually accomplished something that you're proud of. Okay, so that's what to expect in the hour of CrossFit. Okay, now I want to show you the CrossFit Ladies. All right. Okay, guys, get your head out of the gutter. The CrossFit Ladies is a series of benchmark workouts for CrossFit. So starting from the top left are just the body weight workouts, the calisthenic workouts. So things that are easier movements, better for beginners, but also very, very difficult workouts. And then as you get down to the bottom right, you start involving more equipment like boxes and kettlebells and medicine balls. And then in the orange, you start involving barbells, cardio machines, and things kind of just get heavier as you go down the chart. So anyways, these are a series of benchmark workouts that you can use to compare yourself against other athletes. These are quantifiable things. So an AFAP means as fast as possible. So as fast as possible, 150 wall balls. AMRAP means as many reps as possible. So you set a time limit, 20 minutes. You say as many reps as possible of this movement. EMOM means every minute on the minute. So you may have an odd and an even numbered exercise, and on even minutes you would do one, and then on the odd minutes you would do the other. So you get the idea. These benchmark workouts are a great way for you to track your own progress. So basically, if you start CrossFit, you do a few of these benchmark workouts. Some of them you won't even be able to do, and then you go and you do CrossFit for 4 months or 6 months or a year. You go back and you do that workout and you completely blow yourself out of the water and how much you've improved. So yeah, these are the CrossFit girls. They're all really, really hard workouts. I don't really know many of my benchmark scores, but they're a good measurable way that you can kind of see your progress and progression. Okay, so these are what I would conclude are the big positives from CrossFit. One is the community. Like I said, you go in there. There's seniors. There's women who can lift more than you. So it's a great community. You know, you go in there and everybody's like-minded. They say that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if none of the people you spend all your time with are trying to exercise and trying to keep themselves healthy, then you won't be healthy. So you know, the community aspect is great. You get accountability for your results. When you're trying to increase a certain lift or something and you take weeks off or you take months off and you go in and you fail that lift, you kind of got the results that you deserved. And then you see the people at the gym that are putting in the work and putting in the effort, and you see them getting the results that they deserve. So it kind of holds you accountable for your own investment. It's reasonably priced, and I say that with an asterisk because it is kind of expensive. So typical CrossFit membership is between $140 to $200 a month, which is a lot when compared to just the door entry fee you pay at a Gold's Gym or something else. But you can't really compare them one-to-one because with CrossFit, you're kind of paying for a very structured programming. So you go in every day and you don't need to decide what you're doing. The workout is posted on the board. People's scores are posted on the board, things like that. So you're getting the programming that's going to kind of gradually build up fitness in every area of your body. And then also you're getting some personalized training advice. So in a class of maybe 10, sometimes it's just a couple people, and sometimes it's up to 20 to 30 people, the trainer's going around during the scale component, during the strength component, during the workout, and he's looking at each person's form, and he's going to tell you when you're doing things that you need to correct. So it's kind of like you're getting the personal training advice as well at a discounted price. So it's well worth the price that you pay. They have a range of programs, so they have basics for people that are just getting into it. They have a youth program for kids. It's like an after-school program. If I have kids, they're definitely going to be going in that. And then senior, like I said, you know, you want to keep your body healthy. You want to prevent osteoporosis and the weakening of your joints as you get old. So it's important that you lift weights as you grow older and you learn how to push yourself off the floor and things like that. There's 80-year-olds who are doing CrossFit who can kick the crap out of me. So you know, it really pushes the boundaries of what you can do at certain ages. And then everything's measurable. You've got the benchmark workouts. You've got quantifiable outputs like calories on the rower, calories on the assault bike, numbers of reps, things like that. Scalability, so that's a big thing, is the idea is that I'm doing the same workout as everybody around the world is, but if I can't do a muscle up, I'll do some sort of scale progression so that eventually I'll be able to build up and do a muscle up. So there's always a movement that you can do to scale something back. And that's one of the key things too, is because it's such an intense workout, you don't want to be throwing around more weight than you can sustainably do when you're 10 minutes of fatigue or something. So it's important to be choosing weights and everything that will allow you to push your own boundaries, but not to sacrifice your form. Because that's one of the big things, especially with the Olympic lifts and things like that, is if you start compromising your posture or your lower back, it can result in injury. And that's where a lot of the stigma around CrossFit comes from, is because you kind there's a craze around it, and you get all these gyms popping up with not really the greatest coaching. So sometimes they emphasize just the number of reps rather than your actual form. But bad coaching is something that any gym could suffer from, or any sport really. So it's not unique to CrossFit. And then lastly, you get amazing results that transfer to every sport. So I play all various sports. I play in 3 Cisco leagues: volleyball, basketball, soccer. And I haven't been practicing these sports for many years, but I did CrossFit for 2 years, and I came back to these sports, and it was like I never left. Just the endurance, the capacity you have for work and everything, it transfers literally everywhere. And me personally, I find the attitude that I've gained through doing CrossFit applies to everything in life. Just kind of the hard work and determination, knowing not to set boundaries for yourselves, knowing that if whatever you're willing to put in, you can get back out. So that's the positives. And I think. Okay, and then the last thing I want to talk about is the actual sport. So every year they have a series of competitions around the world, basically to determine who's considered the fittest on earth. So the idea behind CrossFit is you load a hopper with a range of athletic activities, and you randomly give them to the athletes, and whoever can compete all these diverse activities with the best scores or the best times is considered the fittest on earth. So last year I did the open competition, so any CrossFit affiliate gym can host an open, and basically there's 5 workouts that are published each week for a 5-week period. You go in and you have to do the workout in front of a judge who's going to be watching every rep and holding you to certain movement standards, and then you submit your score online. You can see where you rank up in your region, globally. You can see the people that are ahead and behind you, what their body type is, how tall they are, how much they weigh, so you can compare yourselves against people of similar phenotype. And then the people that basically win the open in their sub-regions will go to the regionals. Those athletes are insanely elite. It's amazing what they can do. And then some people even have to get cut from the regionals to go to the CrossFit Games. Traditionally, they've been held in California. Now they're in Wisconsin, I believe. But if you look at the Games exercises, the Games athletes, they are kind of like the pinnacle of human fitness. These people can compete with specialist athletes in all of their individual sports, but they're so well-rounded that they can do a lot more as well. So then the Games, the athletes that go to the game, probably they're certifiably insane or something. These people know how to put themselves through crazy amounts of punishment. It's like they spend all year training, learning how to listen to their body, and then they go to the games and they tell their body to shut up, basically. It's like these guys just put themselves through so much pain. And ultimately, that's kind of what CrossFit is about, especially the workout of the day, is you just work harder than you're used to. You're meant to get uncomfortable, and you'll see the results, because intensity is really the key. So I think that's all. Now I'll open up for questions and answers. If anyone has any questions,
5
I'm
minutes
happy
for
to answer.
questions.
So many
Any questions?
questions. So many. Someone had a question?
No.
No. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'll start with, before the question, I think that's an amazing talk. A lot of people, I've seen a lot of people start CrossFit, and then after a month they get back to whatever they were comfortable with. And if you guys ever want to check out CrossFit, there's a really good documentary, Fittest on Earth, I think. That's in Netflix.
There's two actually, and the one from last year is a Decade of Fitness. It's their 10-year. I think it started in 2006 or something like that. Yeah. Anyways, there's 2 on Netflix. There's a new one coming out this year as well in a couple months.
It's actually pretty good if you guys want to check it out. It's amazing. Like you said, they're insane. Certifiably insane. My question to you is actually a bit personal. I wanted to know what kind of a pre-workout you take.
Pre-workout.
A lot
I've
of
never
people
been.
take usually a little bit of pre-workout to do that level of intense workouts.
To be honest, I've never really been huge on diet and stuff like that. It's probably one of my deficiencies. One of my motivations for exercising is that so I can eat whatever I want and not have to worry about it as much. But I've noticed, you definitely notice on days where you don't eat properly and you go into the gym and you're doing high capacity workouts that you feel drained and you don't really have a lot in the tank to spend. So I mean, what I think would be effective to have before, maybe like an hour and a half before the gym or something, to have a meal with some carbs and fats and just eat, but give yourself enough of a period that you can digest a little bit too. But definitely, shouldn't be working out on a completely empty stomach. Maybe if you wanted to do some cardio, because the idea is that if the energy you're releasing during your workout either has to come from the food that you've digested or comes from the fat stores in your body. So if your goal is to lose weight or something and you do cardio on an empty stomach, then you could be burning healthy fat instead of using your reserves. But yeah, so anything, just stay fueled, because I focus mainly on output and what I can produce. So it really depends on your goal, though. I'm not taking any special drugs or anything, just eating food. Just lift heavy and eat good food. Yeah?
So in your opinion, what would you say, how difficult or easy it is to learn those movements, clean and jerk or snatch, for someone who has not done that?
Yeah, it definitely depends, and there's a varying difficulty based on your body type. Like, you'll notice the guys who excel at the clean and jerk and snatch at the games are typically shorter guys with shorter limbs. The bar has to travel less distance to go from ground to overhead. So it differs from person to person and based on your own ability, and it differs depending on the movement as well. I mean, the clean and jerk and the snatch, it's like if you go in and you spend a month where you go in three times a week, you probably could start doing clean and jerks and snatch just with the barbell. The muscle up and the handstand push-up are something that can take people years to learn. I can maybe do one strict handstand push-up. I'm really not good at them. I'm better at muscle-ups because of my rock climbing background. My clean and jerk and snatch are pretty horrible. Considering my weight and size, I should be able to do more. And there's people that weigh a lot less than me that can do more because their technique is better. They're very technique-oriented. So I mean, it's about the time that you invest and put in, but nothing is. They're not insane movements. It's not learning how to backflip or something like that. But they definitely just take time and dedication.
Okay, so
Couple of more questions.
very quick.
So, yeah. So is CrossFit a good fit for someone who hasn't done gym before? Like, just right away just go on.
So that's why I think it is because you'll get the training advice there that you would if you paid for a personal trainer. I think there's probably a little bit of a requisite exercise you could do before going to a CrossFit gym so that you can maximize the value of your membership. Like if you haven't ran in 6 years or you haven't legitimately sweat in years or a couple of years, you could probably just do a few of the benchmark workouts at home on your own time. Just get the heart flowing, get the blood pumping, get the cardio system working. Do that on your own, and then once you actually have the membership, you can commit and dive right into it. But it's like a chicken versus the egg. So honestly, I just recommend you just do it. Just sign up and go and do it. And it doesn't matter what your ability is. They're going to scale everything to your capacity.
So also when our friends go and join gym, they stop eating pigs and burgers. They say, oh, this is bad food or something like that. But like, if you join CrossFit, can you still go ahead and?
I mean, it's a closed system. So keep in mind, if you track everything, there's not energy that's appearing or disappearing out of nowhere. If you eat a surplus of carbs and calories and everything in a day and you don't work it off, it's going to be stored in your body. It's kind of simple like that. Whereas when you do a high intensity, I mean, one of the bases of CrossFit is that if you do a really, really intense workout for 3 minutes versus a strength training workout for 3 minutes, you output a lot more energy with the CrossFit workout, which means that you're burning more of that energy that you've consumed. So in that sense, there's more being taken away from both ends of it, but yeah. And by the way, this is a huge disclaimer. I'm not a fitness expert or professional. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. This is not certified training advice.
Your last motivation for CrossFit is just compare these two bodies. But let's give Dan a round of applause. I'll come right into our next speaker because I want to give her enough time. Christine's going to come up.